What was your wake-up call to get into politics?
Woof.
What our country had done in Vietnam, that was a genocide.
As soon as I signed up for the military.
Seeing the terrible state of the world and billionaires profiting off of suffering, there's a call to action, and I'm answering that call.
Welcome back. Braving the Cold in Chicago, Illinois, an organization called About Face, which is comprised of veterans who are against fascism, against ICE, against the cuts that are going to decimate so many veterans across this nation, marched. Now, it was just not in Chicago, it was in LA, New York, Portland, Memphis, and many others. What I decided to do was ask those in attendance, what was their wake-up call to get involved and speak out politically. Before we get to that piece, if you can, please give this video a thumbs up, share it. You can subscribe for free, and you can become a paid channel member. Patreon coming very, very soon.
What was your wake-up call to get into politics?
Woof. The first time that Trump was in office, I was very scared about abortion rights. So I started just going down rabbit holes, how to help, learning a lot about policy. And then I was actually activated to January 6th. And I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene fight Marie Newman over a trans flag. And I was like, if she can win an election, I can win an election. So I started getting involved with Jan Schakowsky, Sherry Bustos. And when I came home from January 6th, because we were there 5 months or so, 4 or 5 months, I reached out to all my local elected officials, and a couple of them were like, wow, that's a crazy story. My committeeman and I had lunch, and I just started getting involved and learning more. And I have a marketing and communications background, and that's kind of how I use it to make legislation.
Gotcha. And tell me more about what you saw on January 6th.
It was completely different than Black Lives Matter protests. You know, Black Lives Matter protests, everyone was decked out in all mop gear and riot gear and SWAT gear weeks in advance. January 6th, there was no one called. I remember sitting down, because it's the pandemic, eating my lunch and turning on the TV and being like, watching them scale the wall and beat up police officers. And I was like, well, I think I have to go pack because I'm going to get called. And then later that day, they were like, yeah, you guys need to be ready. Tomorrow morning, we're going to leave. So we weren't there during January 6th. We were in the wake of it. And then people kept trying to run us over, would throw things at us, would try and run over the gates. So yeah, every time something like that happened, we'd have to stay longer.
You were a literal line of defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Incredible. And you weren't even called that day. You were called the next day.
Yes.
Yeah. So that must have driven you crazy because you thought that you were needed and your comrades were needed.
Yeah, I don't know why we weren't there in advance. And then so the airplane there, people were nervous, and I was like, let's go.
And what got you involved in politics?
What got me involved in politics? Oh my God, I've been probably the Vietnam War when I was about 7 years old, 8 years old. I used to hang out and just sit and watch news. I've been a news junkie since I was a shorty, and just following that, I don't know. I have a big empathy for injustice because, you know, people never pay attention to me. I get stepped on all the time. You know, I've always been the little guy, the run of the litter, so I kind of like standing up for the little guy.
What got you involved politically in the first place? What got you to this point?
So I'm a child of the Vietnam generation. I was a patriotic kid. I was going into the Air Force in 1976 after the Vietnam War, but I decided to go to music school instead. And when I got to the University of Iowa, I met graduate students and Iranians and people from and Palestinians and other people who taught me how the world actually worked. And I felt like I had been manipulated, I'd been lied to, and it made me really angry. And I resolved that I was not going to be part of that system that I almost was a part of. And it just, I got into it, and I've, you know, especially when I learned about what our country had done in Vietnam, that was a genocide. And, you know, so many of my dad, my uncles, my grandfathers, my great uncles, my brothers-in-law, my sister, so many people in my family are military. And I found out, though, that they also didn't support what the U.S. was doing in Vietnam. So I realized it wasn't the troops. It was the government and U.S. and the people that the government serves, the billionaire class, the ruling class, the imperialists. So I dived into the fight and I've never left.
And how did you start getting involved politically?
I mean, I would say I got involved politically as soon as I signed up for the military. So I've always kind of been center left, but I feel like the Republican Party has moved further and further right, which has caused me to say, hey, this is not the center anymore for Republicans. We all need to speak up and say something. This is not normal.
What made you feel compelled to speak out politically? And maybe even prior to that, what was your first moment of being politically active?
It wasn't until this past June, No Kings in my suburb. I made a sign that said, "Proud veteran always, no kings never." And it said, "Happy birthday to the Army." Because it's, I guess it happens to be Donald's birthday too. But I'm like, man, I served in the Army. I'm a proud veteran. How about Happy Birthday Army? Aren't we losing this? This whole parade and whatever, in D.C., whatever that is, let's not lose the importance of that. And so I also wanted to be visible in my suburb, which is rather left-leaning, and show them that I was in the military, but I'm not the enemy, I guess. And doesn't mean I support this current administration. So it was really a relief. And on the way back, I ran into this older couple about my dad's age. My dad's an old hippie. He protested Nam. He took the bus from here, as a matter of fact. And he got tear gassed in D.C., and then I ended up serving for 20 years. This old couple, they said, well, how did you serve? How were you able to do that with all this, that, and the other going on? I said, these are great questions. Let's get some coffee and talk about this, because there is no pat answer for that. So, that was my first step out. Just to show, I think especially in the Midwest, the military is not one flavor, and there are forces really trying to make it that way. For example, Charlie Kirk. I went to Sicily on a trip, and one of the few people that spoke English said, "I heard about the Charlie Kirk, and what do you think about that?" It had just happened. I'm like, dude, I don't even want to think about that. But it's like, because you are X, that means you're YZ, A, B, C, and we're not. And so it's like we're getting really broad brushes out in America. I think this is very dangerous. I think really there's an agenda to turn us against each other. And I'll be damned if that happens. And that's why Chicago, I think Trump thought this would be a softball. Chicago's screwed up. Of course, everybody's going to be on board with this. Nope. Guess what? Chicagoans, pretty gritty people. We have some failed systems. We have some things we need to repair, and a litany of historical problems, but you can't bring a sledgehammer in for a dental procedure. These things take time. And I think Chicagoans surprised this administration because there's more nuance, dude. We do want to love one another, and we are not that quick to vilify one another.
When was the first time that you felt like you were politically involved?
Just this year, really. I witnessed some of the social media events that were happening at Broadview, and I went down to check on it myself, and I was appalled by what I saw, and I had to get active.
When in your life did you get first politically involved?
Well, I've got really politically involved during the second Trump administration. I've been, ever since I got out, I've been growing more and more anti-capitalist, just seeing the terrible state of the world and billionaires profiting off of suffering. And, there's a call to action, and I'm answering that call. And, I call all veterans to get activated and, call to the fight.
Considering that you are politically involved now, what happened at Broadview?
At Broadview. So I was at Broadview. That was before ISP got there. You have to forgive me. I'm gonna just ramble a bit as I replay it.
Go for it.
But yeah, I was there. That was before ISP got there. I showed up with my friend Brad over there. We were both there. So because we're veterans, I'm a combat veteran. I've got basic first aid experience. So I went there because they're using indiscriminate gassing people, peaceful protest. When I was there, around like 11 o'clock or so, the protest died to about a quarter of the size, and that's when ICE decided to come and push the protesters back, indiscriminately throwing flashbangs out, tear gassing people. I was shot in the head with rubber bullets, and later on when I was detained inside of Broadview, the guard came to visit me, and he's bragging to the agent that shot me in the head was bragging to the guards. He's like, I was shooting this guy in the head with rubber bullets all day, you know. And so they're just monsters. They're out for violence. They're ultra violent, and you know they don't care about people, and they're just trigger happy monsters.
So he bragged about shooting you in the head.
Yeah, he came up to my cell while I was detained in there, and just joking about it with the guards. Just laughing at me while I was handcuffed in my cell.
Did they ask you if you were a veteran?
No.
Did you ask them?
If they were veterans?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. They weren't really hospitable in there. I was denied lawyer. Not denied, they just wouldn't give me a lawyer, wouldn't give me a phone call. They took off my boots. I was in there for like 9 hours with no boots. Wouldn't give me back my glasses. And then when I was detained in my cell, it was disgusting in there. It wasn't like covered or anything, but there's like little splotches of blood on the wall. There's like some human mucus on the wall. The sink was disgusting. The AC was turned all the way up. Just intentionally making it incredibly difficult in there. And I had been tear gassed all day with pepper bullets, shot in the head with rubber bullets, tear gas. So I was covered in tear gas. No medical, no offer for medical treatment or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, that is flat out awful. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is, if that's what they're doing to U.S. citizens, veteran U.S. citizens, imagine what they're doing to the immigrants in there being detained. Another thing I saw while I was in there, through my tiny window in my cell, I saw them line up the immigrant detainees against the wall. They had chains on the ground staged for them, and they brought them out, put them against the wall, their hands against the wall, chained their ankles together, chained their hands behind the back, and marched them out like they were federal criminals or something. It was just absolutely disgusting to see.
And this took place over 9 hours, you said?
Yeah.
And why did they suddenly release you after 9 hours?
I don't know. Probably they didn't have much reason to hold me. And it's a detention facility at Broadview, so it was, I don't know why they, but that's their general, standard how long they've been holding people there.
Right.
So
right.
Usually when they detain peaceful protesters over there, they'll get released later that day.